Welcome back to the Elevate Everyday podcast. We're back with Coach Herb talking about longevity again, because again, he's seasoned, right? So, so this one we talked about, yeah, we talked about working out for longevity last time. This one we're going to focus more on kind of the nutrition side for longevity. So guys, let's go ahead and dive right into it. So Herb, what first question I have for you is what role does protein intake play in supporting hormonal balance for muscle growth and fat loss and longevity?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest ways is, our body doesn't use protein. It breaks it down to amino acids. Amino acids help regulate insulin and the release of insulin. And so it keeps you more steady. So protein is, again, it's got a lot more than just building muscle. It has to do all the things to set up the proper environment to build that muscle.
Yeah.
And one of them is working with, along with insulin. Insulin's a good thing because it's a storage hormone, right? And it's a bad thing because it releases when you have all the blood sugar. It doesn't let you burn anything else for energy except for blood sugar. So it's one of those things you have to dial in.
Okay. Yeah, and so kind of on the note of muscle, right? Obviously, we talked about how building more muscle helps you with longevity for all the reasons we talked about in the last podcast. So if you guys missed that, go back to that one. But hopefully you guys already know kind of how protein supports muscle, but how can you speak to that, Herb, on just like, protein intake and supporting like having more muscle and how that assists in longevity?
Well, again, when we get to age 30, we start to lose our muscle mass, brother.
Yeah.
So you're in that category now.
Mhm.
So you start to lose muscle, and muscle equals the immune system. Muscle equals our strength, our energy, right? So if that starts to drop off, other diseases can set in because we become stagnant. We sit, we change our food, and everything starts to go downhill from there.
Yeah.
And again, this all goes back to even before muscle is testosterone, the hormones that we're talking about, right? That's the building blocks of the muscle. So without that, then your testosterone drops and then your mood drops and then you open yourself up for diseases.
Yeah.
Because the number one source of most diseases now, I just did a huge read on this and I'm still trying to figure it all out, is the cortisol, being released and storing around the stomach. And as soon as you touch a carb, man, boom, your sensitivity to insulin goes straight through the roof. And you'll get a lot of blood sugar or a lot of blood sugar released even on slow absorbing carbs that shouldn't be happening because you're so sensitive,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of that insulin sensitivity because I've definitely got questions on that for you. I want to ask you, like, how has your diet changed as you've kind of been, getting older and focusing more and more on longevity? Like, what stuff have you changed up for yourself?
You can't take for granted that shit's going to happen because you're young, right? You tweak something in the gym and you're like, I'm fine, I'll shake it off, I'll be fine tomorrow. Uh-uh.
Yeah, yeah,
The two biggest things I've done is dialed in my food a little bit more to eat.
yeah,
Again, you eat for results, so I changed my food up a little bit, which I'll talk about. But also the training, right? I don't need to be 250 pounds anymore running around at 60 years old. That's a lot of weight on the heart still,
yeah,
right? But the longevity part, the person with more muscle
yeah,
is more resistant to disease. It's been shown, Gabrielle Lyons is great for that. She's better than I can. She's
yeah,
a lot better to look at when she's talking too. But the whole idea is the more muscle you have basically equals the longer you're going to live,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Again, doesn't mean you have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but genetically dispositioned, if your body is in a build muscle, burn fat mindset, it really is going to carry you through a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some things on the diet side that you specifically have changed?
I'm a lot stricter on the sugar. I have a very quick metabolism.
Yeah,
And as far as body fat and everything goes, I could eat sugar every day and still be fine.
yeah,
The problem is the sugar is going to lead to cortisol and all this other stuff. And it's just Satan. It's just the only thing that can make you fat is sugar. So again, my joints were hurting from fighting and wrestling and all this stuff. It's like, okay, how do I take care of my joints? Well, less sugar, right? And I'm thinking, okay, well, if I did this when I was younger, maybe I wouldn't have these problems now. So yeah, again, it took
yeah,
me a little while to learn it, right? So when I work with my clients now that are your age, Kate, and I'm giving you the suggestion, don't fucking wait till you're 60. Trust me, don't wait
yeah,
till you're 60.
yeah. Yeah, so let's dive into it because that goes along with a lot of what you're saying with the sugar and the insulin response. So, what role does insulin sensitivity and or resistance play in longevity?
Well, so first of all, when you eat food, it's going to cause an blood sugar increase.
Mhm.
That blood sugar gets in there, increases. The pancreas releases insulin to deal with it. If you're resistance to insulin, if you're insulin resistant, which is different than sensitivity, opposite, but if you're insulin sensitive, the minute you hit it, it's going to just light up your system. You're going to have insulin flying all over the place, and if you're not burning that blood sugar for energy, it's going to store.
Yeah.
It just stores, right? And then as soon as that happens, your insulin levels drop a little bit, and you become hungry. You crave food. You eat again, and the whole cycle starts all over again. Um, and so that's the problem. People don't realize it's not, well, if I just eat one meal, right? But it's the triggered response that it's going to be doing,
Yeah.
right? So again, sensitivity to insulin, you touch it, it spikes, right?
Yeah.
Insulin resistance, you can eat all the uh, carbs you want. You're not going to get any insulin to release, right? Because
Yeah.
you're resistant to it. So again, insulin's a huge thing. Um, Bodybuilders, athletes, the people that really know how to control their food love insulin because it's a delivery hormone. So if I can spike my insulin after a workout and get myself a lot of amino acids and good, um, whatever, peptides, whatever, it's going to shovel it into damaged tissue, which is muscle at this point,
Mhm.
right? That's why people that don't work out and just say they're going to eat good, there's no place for that. The body doesn't need the repair tissue. Therefore, we go to storage. We go
Yeah.
to storage.
Yeah.
And you just get this mean cycle of I'm eating good, but I'm storing everything just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point, and probably something we should have touched on in the workout portion of the longevity is like, yeah, it's not that carbs are bad, guys. It's that if you use it, strategically, right, with the carbs, and you're not just spiking your insulin all the time for no reason, and just like your body has nothing to do with the carbs, that's when it's bad, right? If you're doing the right things, both diet wise and workout wise, and those things are like working together strategically, then you can use carbs as fuel, and if you're doing these things, you're basically you can turn yourself into either a well-oiled, efficient machine, right? That's how I feel like we're turning ourselves into, and a lot of our clients, like when you're doing the right things to ramp up your metabolism, right? Eating and training in the right way to like, just be super and efficient and effective with how you use this food, right? So you can either be doing that or you can literally, like we said in the workout portion of things, like, past 30, like things start to decline, right? So if you're not doing things strategically, then your body's just storing and storing. It's not using these foods as fuel efficiently, right? You kind of have to train your body to do that. So that's kind of where my mind was going with all that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
one of the biggest things, Kate, if somebody hears, "Oh, I got a problem with my blood sugar," boom, they're in the doctors, they're getting insulin, they're getting metformin, they're trying to. You don't need to do that, right? If it's a type 2 diabetes is 100% curable, quote unquote. It's the only disease that you can get and get rid of, right? You ate too much, you're fat, you're lazy. I'm sorry, I'm not here to make friends. Okay, start eating healthy, start moving and getting some physical activity, right? And in some cases, you might have to, go a little farther because you're way overweight. But I can't remember, Cade, my dyslexic brain. But I think if you measure a man's stomach and the circumference is over 40 inches on a man and 35 on a woman, you're looking at cortisol and having these type of problems. So real simple, start eating better, guys. You caused this issue by what you were eating. It makes sense that you can unstick the problem by what you're eating.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. So which foods, right? Because you already talked about sugar, but kind of which foods, would you steer people towards as far as better for hormones and longevity, and which foods should people avoid, in your opinion?
Well, again, I'm a guy, I believe in meat products, animal products. Okay. Just had a little interview today with a couple friends of mine that are vegan, and they started to switch over. One of their uncles passed away. Um, and he had he passed away from a heart attack. His arteries were plugged, and he's a vegan for 20 years. So it's like, shit, that ain't working. The food you want to eat is all natural, 100% quality foods, low on the glycemic index. Again, protein. But here's the problem with protein, because there's always an issue. So when you're eating protein, you got to make sure you get enough fiber too, i.e., there's certain carbs with more fiber, and so it'll regulate you. But
Yeah.
I would say meat products, low fat, beans. Definitely, again, I'm not against, certain veggies and stuff like that, but you have to get a high quality protein source.
Yeah. Yeah.
Soy protein, it's not going to help, man. I mean,
Right.
soy is a little bit higher than dirt as far as biological value. So you need to find out what works for you, but you guys there's no shortcuts. You've got to take quality foods in, no processed foods, no deli foods, things that if it's 80 degrees outside and you left food on the counter for 3 days, it's going to go bad. That's the food you want to eat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Not a can of Spam is going to last you till, for 400 years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it takes a little work though.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it is, you know, the foods that I feel like people should steer towards and my mindset, just as I get older and I train more clients, it continues to shift us in this direction, right? And it's whole foods, like you said, like minimally processed, like kind of single ingredient foods. And the reason being, it's not like, hey, this food is like evil, right? Like if it's processed, it's 100% bad, right? But it's that these foods that are whole foods and nutrient dense, like they're just going to do so much more for you. And if you're eating more of those foods, what I've found for myself and for a lot of our clients, like when it's super nutrient dense, like you feel full, you feel satiated. Herb, you say this all the time. It's kind of like, if someone eats an entire pizza, right, that they feel full for a little bit and then like a couple hours later they're hungry again, right? It's because their body didn't get the nutrients that it needs. It just got a bunch of junk, right? But when you have like all the nutrients that your body needs, that's when you actually feel full and satiated, right? And so if you're getting the right amount of protein, that's the most satiating macronutrient. And then if you're getting, good, clean, single ingredient whole foods, you're going to be getting all the vitamins and minerals and everything that you need in your diet, right? As opposed to, if you do try to do like the if it fits your macros approach, but you're eating whatever you want, right? And you have like a cheeseburger, you have like, a couple pieces of pizza, you eat some ice cream, and you're trying to fit that into your macros, like you're probably going to end up feeling hungry still, right? Because you're not giving your body all those good nutrients to feel good and fueled up and full and satiated. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
and one more thing Kate was saying is when you have that blood sugar going, let's say I don't work out, but I'm eating good and my blood sugar spike, doesn't mean my body's going to use any of that for energy.
yeah,
I'm not doing anything energetic wise. When you
right,
start lifting weights, that causes your body to look for anything it can possibly use for energy,
yeah,
right? You go in the gym and your blood sugar is a little high. Maybe I had a pancake for breakfast this morning, so my blood sugar is a little high. It's going to burn that,
yeah,
right? It's going to burn that blood sugar for energy. And people are like, oh, well, you're not going to burn any fat. When you lift weights, I'd say I burned 600 calories in the club. All that was blood sugar. Now, when I leave, I'm going to burn half the calories trying to get my oxygen back to normal. So now maybe I'm burning fat on that side. So we have to just be aware of the options and just execute.
yeah.
That's the biggest thing. But people are always looking for the shortcut, Cade. They're always looking
Yeah.
for the shortcut.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what I was saying about like well-oiled, efficient machines, right? I feel like too, like the consistency. We're always talking about the consistency of the meals and everything. I feel like that's really helped me, right? Because it feels like every time I'm adding, like I keep coming up on calories with my coach, and I told him like, man, we came up and then my weight dropped back down. It's like my body is just efficiently working and burning
Yep.
so much now. And it's
Yep.
pretty, I'm eating about 3,100 calories and I still dropped down in weight the last couple of weeks. Like it's crazy, right? It's
Mhm.
like, but if you can create that metabolism through the right nutrient dense foods and doing the right things in the gym with lifting weights, building more muscle, it's like you're just a well oiled, efficient, fat burning machine at that point. So yeah, that's what we're trying to create with everyone. And I think a lot of our fitness junkies are seeing that. They're just like, man, like, yeah, it's working. Like
Yeah.
I'm starting to eat more and more. And it's just like my metabolism just keeps cranking up and I feel good, feel energized and I feel strong, all that good stuff. So
Yeah. Again, it's again anything that, and again, too much insulin that beats your system up.
mhm,
People, and again, this is a different system, but when you get that much insulin going up and down, it ages your body dramatically.
yeah.
That's a lot of things. When people say, "Well, I have a lot of energy," I'm just crashing. That could be with
Right.
your insulin too.
Yeah.
Then you got a thyroid issue. Then your adrenal glands are going shit
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
You're not getting a good workout. There's no testosterone, no growth hormone. So yeah, I would say insulin and thyroid, that's where it starts, guys and gals. That's where it starts. You can
Yeah.
start to figure out your general health on thyroid and insulin. You get that dialed in, boom, you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
other thing is like kind of the even keel energy that most people want, right? And a lot of people say, I skip breakfast because, it makes me crash, things like that. It's like, well, if you're doing things the right way and you're eating the right foods, then your foods should be giving you energy. You shouldn't have these highs and lows and peaks and valleys with your energy, right? If you're doing it right and you're focusing on like we said, like the glycemic index, like good complex carbs and things like that, right? So if you're eating the right things, you shouldn't have these peaks and valleys, right? So you should be able to eat 3, 4 meals a day and have like good, even keeled energy that lasts
Yeah.
throughout the day. So
Yeah. That's why you see people in the gym and they don't know about the total workout. They're a little confused on the food and the supplements, but hey, I'm going. I'm doing my thing. No,
yeah,
you're not because you don't understand why you're doing it. You got to understand the method behind it so that it makes more sense to you. So you can feel these things. And you know as well as I do, Kate, you screw up your insulin, you can feel it.
yeah, yeah,
When I fought, I used to have problems with being hyperglycemic
yeah,
and I've had my blood crash before.
yeah.
I did a show in 98 in Hawaii. I was 198 pounds the night before. I did not know I was hypoglycemic.
Mm.
I ate 3,600 grams or 3,600 calories, most of them carbs, in 12 hours and lost 5 pounds
Wow.
because my body just spiraled. I was so resistant to insulin at the time. My body was like, I don't care. We're not going to work with you.
Wow.
Right. So yeah, you got to watch that. So what I did is I was doing keto for the show before people figured out keto. My trainer over there wanted to experiment. So he had me do keto 6 days a week. And then on the seventh day, this is what he did. I could eat anything all day. Hamburgers, hot dog, didn't give a shit. And then the next day, back to keto. Messed up my system, right? My endocrine system. And my insulin, I just became so insulin resistant. It was like I couldn't get insulin released to save my life.
Wow.
So I looked at that. Once I went back and figured out why, then it was like, okay, um, it can't just
Yeah.
get away with,
Yeah. We've
bro
come a
shit.
long way with with tactics from back
Yeah,
then. So yeah, guys. Um, but yeah, so guys, we'll probably wrap it up here. Yeah, we could probably jam on this stuff all day, but
all day.
um,
We got a part three coming though,
yeah,
Kate.
yeah, we got a part three coming. We're going to talk more about kind of the hormones and the recovery side of things. Probably also touch on the nutrition and workout side because these all go hand in hand.
They go together. You can't
Yeah,
have a conversation
yeah,
without one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I hope you guys took some stuff away from this. If you got any specific questions, leave it in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for part three about hormones and recovery, guys. But see you in the next video. In the meantime, elevate every damn day. Peace.
Peace.
Elevate. Only obligation is to tell it straight.